Still Team Human with heart, empathy, and love. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Still Team Human. I'm your host, Francesca Di Meglio. This is where we discuss how to keep people at the center of our work, even in the age of AI and other advanced technologies. This is where we elevate the human and understand how people can ensure that the new world fits around their best interests. Once again, you and I are going to have a heart to heart. I am the only guest, and maybe we'll even spill some tea. I want to talk to you about something that has been on my mind a lot lately. As many of you know, I was laid off in January. Within days of learning about my fate at work, my father went into hospice at home, and we kept vigil by his side before he passed away while my mom and I were with him on February 23rd. I have had a few awful years in my 47 years of existence, but so far this is the worst one. What I did not realize was how important my work had become to me. I had this great grief of losing my father. I lived next door to him. We were together all the time. We're from a very tight-knit Italian family, and we just roll like that. We're always together. So this was a big, big blow and a big hole in the family. And then when I lost my job, I felt like a failure. I still do, to be honest. I still feel embarrassed. I am heartbroken. But I did not realize how lost I would feel. I had never been laid off before. I was always the hardest worker wherever I worked, and I always put in more hours and did everything I could to make sure I wouldn't be in that position. And in that way, it was a little bit out of left field for me. I have to be honest, and it was a big shot to my ego. And I had previously stopped working full time at another point in my career to become a freelancer. But in those cases, it was my choice. And I had work to do. I had things to do to fulfill my time when the one job finished and the freelance life began. And I'm working as a freelancer now too, but the work I was doing full time was different. I was using work as an outlet for my creativity. And I realized as my father was going through hospice that I was using work as an outlet to avoid facing up to certain things in my life, like my father's cancer, my young son's disabilities, and the work I had to do to care for him, and my own ambitions that I never fulfilled and that I had resigned myself to not being able to fulfill now that I was the mom of someone with disabilities. I had gotten his diagnosis at the same time that I got this job. So there was that. And perhaps this is too much information, TMI, so my apologies. But I want to get to my point, which is that we've all forgotten what work is really for. And this whole experience I've been going through this last year reminded me of that. Once upon a time, work was meant for people to create value. My people, for instance, worked with their hands and grew beautiful gardens and manicured lawns and sowed seeds for their customers. They were landscapers. Those pencil pushers behind desks invested money for people or built consumer goods businesses that provided the world what they needed or what they wanted. And somewhere along the line, however, work became about dashboards and productivity. Now we're turning to AI prompts and constant quote unquote optimization. I honestly don't think I can be optimized any more than I already am. And it's kind of depressing. And I kind of feel like we've lost a little bit of that idea of creating value. And I can look back to my own career to realize this even further. So, for instance, I worked in my college newspaper, the GW Hatchet. It was a great experience. It really gave you the idea of what the real world could be like, and it was very hands-on. I am so old that back then in the late 1990s, we were still using light boxes and cutting the front page out with a knife basically and putting it onto the page. We hadn't gone fully digital until the end of my tenure there, and that was just the beginning. And so we would even run the paper, the printed paper, to the publisher at the end. But we had something we could hold in our hands twice a week that we created. It was our words in print, our photos in print, and we shared that with people, and you could see the value. It was very tangible in that way. And it's not like that anymore, even though we're still doing the same work, writing on the internet and writing on websites. It just doesn't feel as tangible. And beyond that, we've become obsessed with the data. I mean, I was thinking about this a lot during the World Cup, and whenever I'm watching a baseball game, you think about the money ball of it all and how we're using data to put together these teams. And a lot of the time, it doesn't really work. I know they've had some huge successes, and that's why this became a thing in the first place. However, I just don't think you can boil it down to data alone. Making magic with a team happens because of the chemistry that people have, the bonds that they create. And I say this all the time, I don't think it's a coincidence that Spain won the World Cup when I see on Instagram videos of Lamine Yamal and Nico dancing together and laughing together. When you see all of Lamine Yamal's teammates playing with his little brother, the families interacting with one another. It's no surprise that Argentina, despite its shortcomings with talent, perhaps uh, throughout this World Cup, different from their last World Cup team, they have barbecues together and they show how they fight for each other all the time. And that's the kind of stuff that data doesn't show. And it's the kind of stuff that proves that people are really valuable. And we might be forgetting that. And so that's what I want to talk to you about today. Um, you know, we're turning to these AI prompts and the constant optimization, like I said. And because of that, we kind of stopped valuing people, we the people. And there was a time when coworkers truly knew each other, stayed at the same company for years. There was a loyalty both on the part of employer and employee, and they interacted with people outside of work too. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen anymore because it does, but it's much less frequent. And not many people can stay at the same job for the length of their career in the way that generations before us did. It almost never happens now because job hopping has become normalized, and employers have kind of forced us into that because you can't get salary increases or raises in the way we once did, even though inflation keeps raising the cost of living. So, without moving to another company, to another role, you often can't get a raise. And that's fine. That's the way things have evolved. But we need to bring the human touch back to work again. And here's what I mean. I come up with a list of things that I think we need to remember as we move forward, and that I'd like to just present to you. So, first of all, work is a way to contribute, not just produce. So, people are not robots. We have to remember that. We can work the factory lines, and in my case, write a blog a day or make a video a day or whatever tasks you need to fulfill. But what does it mean to contribute as opposed to producing? This refers to a number of ways humans differentiate themselves from the machines. Perhaps they are brainstorming with their colleagues and they draw on their unique experiences to share ideas that people with different perspectives run with and build on. People contribute when they serve as a good teammate by anticipating the needs of their colleagues to ensure the meeting flows, the brainstorming actually happens, the invoice or next project, etc., moves along. And of course, they hold the hands of their colleagues, show empathy, and communicate in a transparent way to help each other. And of course, in appropriate ways, they're doing this. I also want to say there's something to how we interact with our customers. This isn't just for knowledge workers like myself and the examples I just shared. My father built a business landscaping and my brother is continuing it. And they, could put a machine on the lawn to mow the lawn. That day is coming, but they don't have someone to talk to them about how they could make a beautiful Halloween display or which flowers would complement the house that they have and the entryway to that house. And they don't have someone they could share a laugh with or who could, help them deal with the problem they have, whatever the case may be. My father talked to some of his customers about a million different things. They knew about our lives and he knew about theirs. And there's something missing when you're just interacting with a machine. I also think, in the in terms of like some of the other blue collar types of jobs, be it janitors, housekeepers, the those who cook our meals, uh, you know, fast food uh, service workers, these people can provide us with their smile, their good day. They can help us when the technology is not working. I was at McDonald's the other day trying to get something for my son, and I couldn't do the digital orders. It just wasn't working, and the guy had to come over and help me. There's value to having people around. There's nothing more valuable than a smile, a happy day, a wish for you to have a happy day, and those kinds of things. And it's irreplaceable. So I want you to understand that work is a way to contribute, not just produce. It's not just about the number of products you make at the end of the day, the amount of money you brought home to your company, or even, whatever dashboard KPIs you're trying to meet. It's about what you can contribute to the place. Then I want us to all stop the insanity and recognize that we are human and we need rest and we need more in our life than just our work. And this is where my experiences in Italy really speak to me. In Italy, you work to live. People go to their jobs, whatever they may be, to earn money so they can spend time with their family, eat great food, go on nice vacations, and have the essentials. In the United States, you live to work. You are defined by your work. So that when you lose your job like I did, you fall into an epic midlife crisis. Who am I? Am I worth anything without a job? Why on earth would anyone else hire me? Why on earth would anyone else want to talk to me? This reality is particularly hard because Americans make work their life. So you're working day and night. And when it ends, it truly has you crashing out. In fact, I had never put so much into a job before this last one. I took meetings at 4 a.m., at 10 p.m. I would write articles all hours of the night. I spent so much time looking for the best speakers to book for events and did research before all of the sessions and interviews. And this is all to say that people in southern Italy do not know what I'm talking about when I discuss this. When I say I was burned out, I've had burnout. Here in the USA, it is an epidemic. Once you lose your job in Italy, you go out to the club more, you spend your day at the beach with your kids. Here, you lose your identity. You don't know who you are, and the burnout becomes evident immediately. You are so exhausted and you feel stripped of your creativity and inspiration and motivation. You have to give yourself a break, but you don't know how to do it. And it's really tough. And I'm not sure how to come out of it. I'm still working on that. I'm still probably not sleeping enough and needing to sleep a lot more. And I am grappling with the fact that I've tied my identity up so much with my job and my motherhood. And both of those things are not all of who I am. And I have to keep reminding myself of that. And I kind of have to figure out who the rest of me is. What am I without a job? And what am I besides a mom? And those are hard things to grapple with. It's not something easy. So, number three is to remember that the machines don't solve all of your problems. We kind of look to machines, especially AI, as being this panacea for the world's problems and all of our own personal ones. But that's just not how it works. Another item on my mind is the fact that technology like artificial intelligence promises us that people will work less thanks to its existence. There are grand statements made on the part of some about how AI will help you spend more time with your loved ones. It will allow those senior executives to focus on their big vision rather than all the other stuff. We'll all get to do our passion projects now. Somehow, these technologies, which are meant to help us work less, always seem to end up having us work more. It has happened time and again, and it seems to be happening again now. You think these technologies are going to give you that extra time, make you more efficient. And in the end, it does do that maybe, but it also adds to your plate. One, people are feeling the anxiety and the pressure to perform because the AI is a threat to their jobs and they want to make sure they show what differentiates them from the technology. They also are um, finding that because they're so efficient now, maybe with the AI or there's automation built into the day, that they are finding other things for people to do. And I also find a lot of time management and a lot of these people looking at data analytics will see, oh, I'm paying this person this salary. I better get the most out of them. I'm going to juice them for every minute I can get. And when they see you're being more efficient or that the automation is taking some of your job, they just start feeding you more stuff to do. And maybe they'll have just you doing it and get rid of two or three of your colleagues. And that's if you're lucky, because you don't want to be one of the colleagues who they get rid of. So these are things that happen. It doesn't usually mean that you end up working less. And it's a terrible equation that I still can't figure out, but that's a fact. Um, and you can look back at history as well. These are things that were said when the printing press emerged, or something more recent that many of you probably remember when the internet first boomed. And those examples also ironically led to people either losing their jobs or having to reinvent themselves or having to do 100 times more work than they did before. And all of those options are bad. So that brings me to my next point, which is so important. AI should remove the drudgery, the grunt work, but not the meaning behind your work. In other words, humans must have a purpose, a reason to get up in the morning, a joy, a passion. Work is not just about earning money for people. It's about being and staying human. And yes, you may have to do your job for money. Believe me, I'm a mom. in the United States with a disabled child who needs health care, I know you have to do your job for money. I'm not trying to say that you don't. However, I do think that even if you're doing a job basically because you need to get paid and it's not something you love or you're passionate about, you should still have that ability to see the meaning behind your work. And that's something that's been coming up a lot lately because of Gen Z. They've made that a priority. It's one of those things that they look for in their jobs. They want to know they have a purpose and they don't want to just be, you know, doing work to get that paycheck. They want to know that it's significant. Uh, and it doesn't matter what you're doing. You could be a blue collar worker or a white collar worker, and you still can find the meaning in what you're doing. It's something we all have to do. We need this to feel whole, believe me. Now, this does not mean we should let our work define us. That's something I'm working on, as I mentioned. We are more than our work. My kids won't remember the invoices I sent, the calls I answered, or even the articles or videos I made. They will remember the boo-boos that I kissed, the problems I helped them solve, the hugs, the laughs, the memories made. People remember how you make them feel, after all. And we must know our talents, share them, and make it impossible for any of the bean counters to forget what our value is. We want to make it hard for them to get rid of us, right? But it might not end up being enough. And still, you'll feel a whole lot better if you realize both you're more than your work, but that your work does have a purpose, a meaning behind it. And that adds to the value and confidence that you feel for yourself. And number five, this is the last one, and this is the most important reminder that I am going to make today. And I want all of you to hear it and believe it and listen to me. People are priceless. Human beings are priceless. Yes, AI can do some extraordinary things. These humanoid robots can do some extraordinary things. But they are still pretty bad at a lot of stuff. They hallucinate sometimes. They offer misinformation. We know the flaws. And yes, it will likely improve in many of these areas over time, and it may be faster or slower, we don't know yet, but it will never be human. I know some people are having these romantic relationships with AI. It's been widely reported, and there are apps that make this very possible and very easy to do. But AI cannot shed tears with you. It cannot embrace you at your lowest. It cannot lift you up, in my opinion, with inspirational words or deeds. And when I close my eyes these days, I think of my father taking us on Peter Pan's flight in Disney World, or when he made us hike up the hillside known as Bugetto in our native Ischia, an island of Napoli in Italy. I remember his advice when I was getting married to my husband on that same island, his birthplace. I can hear him laughing at our regular Sunday lunch. Sometimes it seems like I can even see him sitting at the chair at my dining room table where we had that Sunday lunch. And I shall never share such memories, such feelings, such emotion with a machine, nor shall I have such grief at the loss of AI. The people at your workplace are the soul of the place. They are your colleagues. They make the work meaningful and hopeful. They are what is good about the company. AI is nothing more than another tool. And while this tool has lots more potential, it can never replace the love of the people. And I hope you all remember that. I hope you believe me. And I want to hear what you have to say about the value of people and why we have to hang on to this so tightly right now. I look forward to talking to you again next week at Still Team Human. Please like, share, and subscribe. And we will be having guests again next week, so get ready for it. And I'll share more about that in the coming days. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.